Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We'll be starting in 5 minutes. Thank you. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
All right, ma'am.
Okay. My voice is
Yes, ma'am, your voice is clear.
okay.
Good evening and a warm welcome from Krista team. Thank you all for taking the time to attend today's webinar. Topic is PCOD, symptoms, causes and treatment. I am Shinka Arora and I will be the moderator for today. 1 in every 5 women in India are affected with PCOD, which is one of the most common causes for female infertility. Through today's webinar, get your answers for why it happens and get to know the correct management and treatment options for a successful pregnancy. Before I introduce our speaker for the day, I would like to introduce Krista. Krista is the mother and child healthcare brand of Redcliffe Life Sciences. It is a complete online reproductive health platform providing all services for fertility and pregnancy, starting from diagnostic tests, advanced genetic tests, counseling services, and doctor consultations, all easily accessed through Krista's online module. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our honorable speaker for the evening, Dr. P.L. Sankwar, who is the professor, obstetrician and gynecologist at KGMU Lucknow. She has researched extensively on PCOS and has more than 19 years of experience in the field. Welcome, ma'am, for taking the time out from your busy schedule and speaking to us. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Hello and good evening, everybody. Uh, I'm here to talk about polycystic ovarian syndrome, and this is one of the main problems in the reproductive age group and in adolescent age group also. So, a lot of our girls, the reproductive age ladies, they are suffering from this disease and having various types of symptoms. So today we are going to address about this symptoms, its causes, and how to manage this polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I think I'm quite audible to the people.
Ma'am, if you could speak a little louder, that will be great.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
better.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, polycystic ovarian syndrome is one of the most frequent metabolic and reproductive disorder in reproductive age group of the ladies. And worldwide, its prevalence is around 5 to 10%. So, imagine 5 to 10% of the ladies they are having this problem. Nowadays, we are seeing that this incidence or the prevalence rate is on a rise. It is on a rise, and in our hospital, we see around 15 to 20% of young adults, young ladies, they are having this problem. So, why it is happening? What are the signs and symptoms? How to recognize it and how to manage it? This is of the very immense importance. So, we must know about this disease, and in the common people also should know the signs and symptoms and how and when to approach your doctor or clinician and how to tackle your problems. The exact pathophysiology of this PCOS is till date not known, but it has been emphasized and seen that uh, there is some problem in the HPO axis, that is hypothalamo pituitary ovarian axis, and the hormones produced on this axis, there is some disharmony leading to anovulatory cycles and oligomenorrhea in these patients. So, as we know that pituitary, it secretes luteinizing hormone, it secretes FSH and various other hormones also. which act upon ovary, and in ovary they influence these Graafian follicles. The small follicles, they are recruited, and one of them, they grow and become Graafian follicle. And later on, when the LH surge occurs, that is steep rise in the level of LH, it occurs, and there is a trigger, and the ovulation occurs. But due to faulty secretion of this FSH and LH milieu, there is no ovulation, and the Graafian follicle also do not mature enough to become a mature Graafian follicle and produce ova. So these cycles, they are chronic anovulatory cycles. So what happens because of this disturbance in the hormonal milieu, there is hyperandrogenism, and this hyperandrogenism leads to the hirsutism, acne, alopecia. Hirsutism, as you know, it is the problem of unwanted hairs at unwanted place in the female body. Acne, as you all know, the small pimples which occurred on the face and maybe on the neck and back. So these acne problems are also associated with the PCOS problem. Alopecia is decrease in the hair and increase loss of the hairs. They become very light, brittle, and easily breakable, and the loss is there. The number of hairs, they are lost. So these are the problems because of hyperandrogenism, and this in turn occurs another factor which is there, which is known as insulin resistance. The insulin secreted in the body, it does not act on the cells on which it has to act. So there is resistance to the insulin, and in turn there is fat deposition leading to obesity. Although there is insulin which is there to which is supposed to be there to tackle the glucose aspect, glucose part, but it is not effective enough. So the fat gets there is increased amount of fat, and it gets deposited, especially in the central part of the body. So there is central obesity, and there is the extra amount of fat. It causes the peripheral conversion of the hormones to the because of aromatization. It again affects the level of LH and FSH. It gives negative feedback, so FSH is not secreted properly. So if FSH is not secreted properly, it will not affect the ovary, and again it will lead to chronic anovulatory cycles. So it is a multifaceted disease where there is uncontrolled ovarian steroidogenesis. In ovary, as we all know, there is secretion of estrogen and progesterone, which is secreted by ovary. It is disturbed because of hormone which are not proper from the pituitary. There is aberrant insulin signaling, so that is also a problem. Then excessive oxidative stress. This is one of the postulated theory nowadays coming is oxidative stress and chronic inflammatory condition in the body leading to PCOS condition. Also, some of the genetic factors, they are responsible for this disease. On top of it, the genetic plus your lifestyle, that what we are eating nowadays, how it is different from what we were not eating in the older days. So there is a shift of diet from the olden days to the newer days, and let us see what shift has occurred. So genes are there to produce the disease, but if it is added on with your faulty lifestyle, then it will trigger and will lead you more towards the development of PCOS. So how does the patient present? Once the HPO axis becomes active, or the girl she attains puberty and she starts menstruating, then these problems, the HPO axis which has just started working, it is immature and it takes years together to get mature and established. So the adolescent girls, they can have problem in the form of menstrual irregularities, maybe the cosmetic concern, the hormones are not occurring or acting properly on the body, and she may have those concerns. Because of hyperestrogenism and decrease and hyper androgenism, she can have hirsutism, hair loss, and acne. So these are the problems of the adolescent. In the reproductive age group, patient can have infertility, she can have early pregnancy loss because the hormones are depleted, they are less, so they do not support the pregnancy fully. So there is chances of early pregnancy loss. There are also chances of uh, fetus being intrauterine growth restricted and the baby delivering with the low birth weight. And also the patient, they are prone to develop hypertensive disorders of pregnancy and gestational diabetes mellitus. This occurs in the reproductive age group. Furthermore, if this situation is not taken care of properly in the menopausal age group, there are various types of metabolic syndromes that can occur because of this insulin resistance and this problem. So they can occur in the form of cardiovascular events. They can develop diabetes mellitus, they can develop hypertension, and they can have develop malignancy also, and that malignancy especially the carcinoma endometrium. So that is the endometrial malignancy they can have. And apart from that, obesity is present in about 70 to 80% of cases. So how to diagnose this condition? There is diagnostic criteria which is known as Rotterdam Consensus Workshop in 2004, ISHRE and ASRM criteria, in which there are three parameters: the ovulatory dysfunction, clinical and or biochemical signs of hyperandrogenism, so signs of hyperandrogenemia, and polycystic ovaries. This is the ultrasonic finding. So any two of them, if they are present, we label the lady as having PCOS problem. Um, almost patient should be taken care of that these problems which are there or the symptoms that are there, they are not because of any other condition, or other causes must be ruled out before we label her as PCOS. So what are the menstrual problems? In the menstrual problems, the lady is having oligomenorrhea or amenorrhea. Oligo means patient is menstruating less frequently. Like every lady menstruates monthly. That is 21 to 35 days cycle the lady is having, which is considered to be normal. But if the lady is having more spaced cycles, like in a year, if she is having cycle 6 menses or less, then she is labeled as oligomenoric. Amenorrheic means patient is not having amenorrhea. Patient is not having menses, so that is amenorrhea. So these are there in these patients. Reduction in the ovulatory events lead to deficient progesterone production. As we know, because there is unopposed estrogen uh, condition is there, the progesterone and the LH surge is not there. So progesterone secretion is deficient. It is secreted in very little amount. So it does not affect on the endometrium, and the lady does not menstruate properly. Or if she menstruates, there can be breakthrough bleeding, in between bleeding, spotting, or it can be a abnormal uterine bleeding type of thing. Later on, if this is not taken care of, can develop endometrial hyperplasia, that is excessive bleeding condition, or patient can have malignancy also, or the cancer also. Obesity and insulin resistance, they go hand in hand. The obesity, it increases chances of insulin resistance, and insulin resistance in turn causes obesity. So both the things, they are complementary to each other, and they form a vicious cycle of putting on weight in the lady. So we need to take care of these things. We need to take care of uh, insulin resistance as well as our weight. See this type of belly, this is known as apple shaped belly, and this is a pear shaped belly. So apple shaped belly means central obesity. Patient is having central obesity, and this is very hard to go. This type of fat is hard to go, and pear shaped body is good for health. This is the ultrasonic finding in cases of polycystic ovarian syndrome. Can you see all these small follicles? They have not grown properly. They have been recruited, but they have not attained a maturing follicle. So they are arranged peripherally, and in both the ovaries, if they are more than 25 or 12 to 14 follicles peripherally arranged in an ovary, and together they are more than 25, then this is known as polycystic ovaries. There is a condition known as multicystic ovary, where these follicles, they are not arranged peripherally, they are arranged haphazardly. That is known as multicystic ovaries, which is not a symptom of PCOS. Then again, another symptom is hirsutism. As I told, the unwanted hair, you can see in the chin, in the throat area, in the beard area, the lady develops this coarse hairs. So this is hirsutism. Again, a similar case of hirsutism you can see here. This is the condition known as acanthosis nigricans. That means there is blackening of the back of neck, that is nape of neck. It becomes blackish, and sometimes the lady also develops yellowish or blackish deposits on under the eyelid, or the upper surface of the eyelid. So these are also considered to be the symptoms towards the insulin resistance. If the lady is having laparoscopy for something, and she is being found that the ovaries are seen as pearly white big ovaries with the thick cortex, thick walled ovaries, this is also a sign of polycystic ovary. So we have seen that this is a inflammatory state, and diet induced inflammation is also there. So if we take care of this inflammation and take anti-inflammatory diet, or we keep our anti-inflammatory index proper, we take some food or the drugs or the habitat in such a way that it takes care of our body weight and it improves our hormonal milieu, then we can take care of our this problem. So these are certain indicators that suggest that this is a pro-inflammatory condition. Here it has been found that TNF alpha, type 2 TNF, CRP, interleukin 6, these all are raised in cases of PCOS. So and these are supposed to be the pro-inflammatory metabolites. So this means it is a inflammatory condition having a low grade chronic inflammation in its bedline. So this is the graph showing the dietary pattern of the fat. Starting from the hunter-gatherers, social agriculture and industrial, that is developed. Here we were taking low amount of fat, we were taking fatty acids saturated in a very low amount, and trans fat in a very low amount. Now what has happened over the times, as we have civilized, we have started eating more of fat, more of saturated fat, and more of trans fats, which are bad for our health. So we need to modify our lifestyle if we want to tackle this situation, because diet and exercise, they are the cornerstone in the management of this condition. So what are the other diagnoses? these symptomatology can be present in other types of conditions also, like congenital adrenal hyperplasia. If adrenals are having problem, then also she can have such type of problem. So we need to investigate these patients on these lines also, so that we rule out all these conditions. Like we can do the steroid level here, androgen producing neoplasms, we can get the androgen levels done, and we can get an ultrasound done to know the ovarian neoplasm. Then Cushing syndrome, we need to do the biomarkers to see this. Hyperprolactinemia condition, that is the increased prolactin level. So we can get a blood report done to estimate the serum prolactin level to know this condition. Hypothyroidism, similarly, the functioning of the thyroid, we can get it done by undergoing T3, T4, TSH. So we can rule out all these conditions, and then we can label the lady as having the polycystic ovarian syndrome disease. Associated morbidities can be the obesity and insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. We will be repeatedly talking about this obesity, insulin resistance, and metabolic syndrome when we talk of PCOS, because these are the basic mainline, what you can say, the cornerstones of this disease. Around 70 to 80% of obese ladies, they are having PCOS. The PCOS, if we consider all the ladies of PCOS, around 70 to 80% will be overweight, and around 20 to 30% patient, they will be lean or the thin PCOS patients. So what other problems can occur if you don't take care of your PCOS? So other problems that can happen is type 2 diabetes mellitus risk, it increases to 7 folds. The cardiovascular risk also increases with the PCOS. Psychological disorders, personality disorders um, are also very much higher with the PCOS, because the femininity and if it is hampering the phenotype of the lady, then she becomes psychologically disturbed. Then obstructive sleep apnea, because the lady is obese and there is she is not able to sleep properly, she gets up in the in between the sleep because of lack of oxygen properly going into the body. Then endometrial cancer, the risk increases with this condition. When the patient is conceiving or has conceived, then chances of spontaneous abortion, chances of preterm labor, chances of baby being born with a less birth weight, then getting gestational diabetes mellitus, developing high blood pressure during pregnancies, these are also common with these type of patients. So we need to be very careful when these ladies conceive, they should be under supervision. So in PCOS, what are our various management protocols? So management strategies need, number one, yoga, exercise and diet, which is the most important and foremost thing to manage this polycystic ovarian syndrome. Then certain amount of food supplements are there which you can have and take care of your problems. Then specific problems because of PCOS, if the patient is having like menstrual irregularities or hirsutism or acne, so if they are symptoms, then they need to be tackled. Then if the patient is not able to conceive, infertility issues, then we need to investigate these ladies, get their hormone profile done, get their tubal patency test done, and then we estimate around about the estrogen and progesterone level of the lady, monitor how the follicle is forming, whether the ovulation is occurring or not. All these tests, battery of tests needs to be done in these infertility cases. Then metabolic issues, like I told, they are prone to develop diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, hyperestrogenic conditions, so they need to be addressed also. So what medicines are there to control some of these problems, and sometimes few types of surgeries are required uh, to tackle this PCOS. So we need to immediately address about hirsutism, because unwanted hair on the face of the adolescent girl especially, it's a big issue. So we need to tackle it in an immediate manner. Then regulation of menses again is a problem, so we need to regularize her menses. Then if she is in the reproductive age group and wants fertility, then we need to tackle this issue. Long term issues are insulin resistance leading to long term problems, cardiovascular risk, and obstructive sleep apnea, and malignancy risk. So we need to tackle them one by one, like irregular menses, infertility, and hirsutism, acne, etc. So as I told, attention to the lifestyle is very, very important. We need to look back to our diet and our basic metabolic rate, what we are doing, what is our BMR, and how can we improve our BMR. So that can be done by quickly evaluating our diet and modifying our diet and doing the proper exercise, so that there is weight reduction, because weight reduction is very, very important. And most of the times, around 40 to 50% cases, the symptoms will resolve just by reducing the weight of the body. So even if it is less 5% of the body weight or more, it is going to positively affect your body and your problem. It will increase the regularity of the menses, it will decrease the androgen levels, it will improve the lipid level, decrease the risk of diabetes, and improve the insulin sensitivity. So if there are so many benefits just by reducing your weight, those people who are overweight and having this problem, just control your weight, give a very, very immense importance for the weight reduction, and eating the balanced diet, which is again very important. So exercise to increase your BMR and reduce your weight. Exercise you can do as you as and when you get the time and you can afford those exercises. You can do jogging, you can do cycling, you can do dancing, you can do brisk walk, you can do skipping of rope, etc. Whatever exercise you can do at home or outside or gym, whatever, you do it, and do it regularly. At least 5 days a week you should be doing these exercises to take a check on your increased body weight. Food supplements are again there to see the effect, so we will talk about that. uh, Nowadays lot of emphasis given on green tea, that just drink green tea and your weight will be lost. It's not so. But if you are drinking green tea and doing your exercises and doing proper maintaining your dietary lifestyle, then you will have a positive and influential improvement in your symptomatology. There are so many papers also which support this. Inositol group of drugs, they are used in the management of PCOS, and they improve uh, the quality of egg and formation of the mature ova, and they are present plenty in fruits, beans, grains, and nuts. So if you include all these things in your daily diet, then probably you can have a proper inositol group of nutrients which are required for your body, or else you can take them as medicines. So it is said that myo-inositol, they improve the ovulation aid, decrease the insulin resistance, they decrease the testosterone level, and improve the metabolic rate. So they have been seen that LH FSH ratio, which should be 1 or less than 1 in ideal conditions. In PCOS, this ratio is more than 1. So uh, it has been seen that myo-inositol group of drugs, they reassure, they improve in the decrease in LH level. And myo and D-chiro-inositol in the ratio of 40:1, which is said to be ideal. It is given 3 to 6 months, and patient, they improve in their lipid profile and in the quality of the good eggs or good ova, and quality of good embryo, and increased pregnancy rate. There is another drug which is very important in cases of polycystic ovarian syndrome, that is metformin. Uh, in We all know that metformin is basically anti-diabetic drug. So there is insulin resistance in these cases, and this metformin, it is insulin sensitizer. So once the insulin is sensitized, it acts on the glucose metabolism, and it decreases the load of the obesity. So, and it also improves the ovulation. So it is one of the important drugs which is used in the PCOS condition. CoQ10 is again a supplement that can be given with the along with the clomiphene citrate to help the lady who are not ovulating. Omega-3 fatty acid, they should be given in these conditions. Various here you can see various types of studies have been done about these food supplements. Similarly, vitamin D3, it has been seen that in cases of PCOS, the level of vitamin D is very low. So, any deficiency will lead to defective ova formation or non-formation of the graphene follicle. So, if it is less, it has to be replenished. Lot of studies and research papers are there uh, giving the favorable result. Fenugreek seed is having the furostanolic saponins, and this is said to be regulating the insulin sensitization. So insulin resistance is improved by giving this fenugreek seed extract, or this active metabolite, which is furostanolic saponins. So it has got very positive effect on the ovaries in terms of reducing the ovarian volume, in terms of making good amount of ovarian good the follicles, in recruiting the good follicles and improving the pregnancy rate and decreasing the obesity. So this is I have also researched on this active metabolite, and have presented in the world conferences also, and it has been applauded there. Uh, this is fenugreek extract is nothing but the our Indian spice methi. So methi is very very important, and it has got very positive effect on diabetes as well as on insulin resistance. So these are various papers that I have presented and published my paper also on this. This pomegranate juice is also said to be very very good for the PCOS patient. Flaxseed is can you identify this flaxseed? This is uh, this is alsi seeds. Alsi, in our Indian spices, one of the spices is alsi. So this alsi is having lot of omega-3 fatty acid, and it is also having lignan. So all these active metabolite, they reduce the androgen level. So if the hyperandrogenemia is present, hyperandrogenism will decrease and it will increase the chances of normal restoration of the body mechanics. Similarly, curcumin again is a very good product, a very good spice which is there in our Indian diet. So it should be taken nowadays. You must have come across that golden milk. Golden milk is nothing but milk with the haldi. So or the curcumin. So this haldi is very good for the body in the management of obesity and in insulin sensitization. Then coming on to the medication that we do. So I think you must have realized the importance of diet, exercise, and now comes the hormones. So don't depend on the drugs too much for your problem. Just improve your psyche for the weight control and for doing your lifestyle management. You have to improve your lifestyle so that your BMR is increased and your weight is under control. So hormone therapy for adolescent girls, the patient who are having irregular cycle, heavy menstrual cycles, frequent menstrual cycles in which the HPO axis is immature at present, we do these hormonal therapies uh, if they are too much symptomatic. In milder cases, diet and exercise will help them. But if they are not their symptoms are not controlled or severe, then we go and switch on to the hormonal therapy. And this hormonal therapy will include the combination of estrogen and progesterone. Various generations of progesterones, they are helpful. The advanced cases progesterones, they are helpful in cases of polycystic ovarian syndrome. Metformin, as I told, it is a wonder drug which is there to decrease the insulin resistance and control the uh, obesity. Now, control of hirsutism. Now, for hirsutism or unwanted hairs, the oral contraceptive pills are used, and especially the progesterone having sapropterin acetate is used, which takes care of sex hormone binding globulins, and it improves the milieu, the hormonal milieu of the patient, and it improves the cycle also, and with that it has some positive effect on the hirsutism also. But the hairs which have already grown, they cannot be reduced, they have to be taken out. It can be because the lady can undergo epilation or laser treatment or waxing, and she has to take regular treatment to control her cycles. So here you can see the lady removing her hairs by mechanical methods, plus oral contraceptive pills which she has to take for at least 3 to 6 months in order to control her cycles. The spironolactone and futamide, these are another drugs which are given to control this hirsutism. For regulation of menses, oral contraceptive pills we are giving. We can also give only progesterone in the second half of the cycle, along with the lifestyle management and metformin. For oligomenorrhea, those ladies who are infrequently menstruating, they can have this combination of estrogen and progesterone. for at least 3 to 6 months. Now, the reproductive age group where the problem is of infertility. So, for that infertility management, again, we need to focus on the lifestyle modification, weight loss, and exercises. This is very, very important because only drugs will not do wonders. If the lady is having lifestyle modification, she is eating correctly, she is exercising correctly and reducing her weight, then probably her menstrual cycle will improve, her improvement in the development of ova and development of good embryos will be more, and the spontaneous pregnancy rate can be achieved. If the patient is having an ovulation, then certain drugs can be used which are like clomiphene citrate. Uh, this drug is very helpful, and if it is not helping out the lady, then there is another drug known as letrozole, which is better to trigger the ovulation in these ladies and ovulatory ladies. Apart from that, metformin again can be added to the morbidly obese or obese ladies to help them reduce her weight. So the apart from all these things, sometimes if all these things are not working, then FSH injections, because the pituitary is not properly signaling to give the pulsatile FSH secretion in the body properly. So exogenous FSH injections are given regularly to recruit the ova, and then watch them and follow them. We do follicle monitoring of these ladies, and once the follicle is mature, then we give the LH to trigger the LH surge, we give them the triggering agent, and then ovulation occurs, and then lady can conceive or she can undergo intrauterine insemination. If that is not helping her out, then certainly laparoscopic surgery can be tried. That is in the form of veg resection or ovarian drilling. We prefer ovarian drilling over the veg resection because veg resection it means resecting the part of the ovary, so ova can be lost in that procedure. But ovarian drilling is a procedure where we puncture the ovaries at around 4 to 5 places on the ovary, and so that the thick cortex which is there, which is hindering the ovulation, it becomes receptive for ovulation. Then if this is not also working, then of course she can undergo IVF ET procedures or ART procedures. So here you can see the laparoscopic procedure, the ovarian drilling being done. So not more than 4 to 5 in each ovaries, the ovarian drilling should be done or holes should be made. This is a bad case where the ovary has been punctured at so many places. This should not be done, and it should be seen that it has to be punctured at a lesser number of times, so that because you are using the cautery here, and the cautery is burning the ova, the probable ova there. So this is not done. It should be like this. Long-term issues, so insulin resistance, metformin should be given. Weight loss, again, weight management must be done. It is a continuous throughout process. It must be maintained. That is all from my side. I think thank you very much for your patient listening.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was such an informative session. We have, I wouldn't say few, we have a lot of questions. If you could
Okay.
please answer us Okay, so the first question is, if someone is diabetic, what are the chances that PCOD can be controlled and pregnancy
Uh,
can be
if
achieved?
patient is having diabetes, so this diabetes could be because of PCOS. Okay, maybe underlying PCOS condition along with that. Uh, she should control her blood sugar. She should focus on controlling her weight also. And if the weight is controlled, the blood sugars are controlled, then probably she can have ovulation and she can get rid of this PCOS condition.
Thank you, ma'am. We have another question. Will alcohol and smoking affect PCOD?
Yes, alcohol and smoking should not be encouraged at all because it causes reduction in the production of good quality ova. So, if the ovas are not produced of good quality, then pregnancy chances of pregnancy are reduced. So, it should be discouraged to use this alcohol or smoking. If the patient or the lady is planning pregnancy, she should quit alcoholism and smoking before she plans. So, maybe at least 3 to 4 months prior, she should quit it because nicotine is very harmful for the pregnancy also and for the developing fetus also. It is
Okay,
having
ma'am.
uh,
Yes. So we have another question by Ms. Shweta.
yeah.
If patient doesn't got cycle more than 3 months in PCOD, should we wait for natural or by inducing medicine should allow the cycle to continue?
Uh, First, we should understand why she is having this amenorrhea of 3 months. Okay, if it is because of hormonal problem or PCOS, it could be because of PCOS or it could be because of something else. So she should undergo, she should visit a clinician. She should undergo some investigations, and exact cause of the problem should be known. And if it is PCOS, then some drugs can be given to her to let her menstruate, and then she can be put on regular treatment for at least 3 to 6 months.
Okay, ma'am. And we have more questions. Some of them have come through mail. So
Yes.
I'll just read them out to you.
Yeah.
6 months before my periods continued for 6 days, but now it is coming for only 3 days and in clotted form. Is it irregular or PCOD symptoms?
If the periods are regular and the cycles, the amount of flow is decreased, I think that is the problem. Initially it was 7 days and now it has become 3 days,
Yes,
but the
initially,
but the
yes.
cycles are regular. So I need to know the age of the patient, any other comorbidity condition in with this. So if she is not having any other problem, she should definitely get an ultrasound done and some blood investigations done to know some blood problem, any problem in the biochemical parameter, or any thing wrong with her endometrium, or some small amount of, sometimes there is a fibroid also which leads to this abnormal kind of bleeding and clotting type of bleeding. So if
Okay.
it's there, so she should get an ultrasound done and she should see her clinician or
Okay,
obstetric
ma'am.
gynecologist.
Ma'am, we have another question since you have told us about the benefits of having green tea, but with exercise alone, it wouldn't work that well. So
Yeah.
there is another similar question. Like nowadays in the market, there are a lot of drinks that are like PCOD and me,
Yeah.
and tonics that are available. Are they safe? Will they work? Is one of the questions.
See, in India, there are lot many things which the general public consumes, but they are not FDA approved. If they are FDA approved, they should be taken. If they are not approved, then I don't think they will be uh, doing good to the patient. It should be the diet should be taken from the dietitian, whatever diet, because they are having problem of obesity. They should matlab they should consult their dietitian and her gynecologist to get these whether they are safe or not, whatever
Yes,
they want to use. They first
definitely.
yeah, they should make them see that what they are taking,
Yes,
and they should have a this thing ki what is there in the content. Sometimes they hide the content and they can have something else. That
very
is
true.
yeah.
So another question we have by Dr. Lakshmi Kirola.
Yeah.
Are Mendelian forms of this condition present or seen in the clinics? Or comments on maternal genetic effects?
No, I couldn't get it.
Are Mendelian forms of this condition present or are seen in the clinics? Or
Yeah.
if you could comment on maternal genetic effects for the same condition.
Uh, it has been seen that there are few genes which are responsible for obesity, and obesity is one of the factors producing responsible for PCOS. It is coexisting. Exact pathophysiology we are not knowing, but it has been seen there are certain maternal genes which predispose to the PCOS condition, and if they are present, they can transfer it to their siblings or to their children also. So they have to see, and they have to make a pedigree ki where from where this disease has come, whether it is running in the family or alone there is some sporadic mutation occurring, and the disease is being caused in that female only.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. We have another question. Are birth control pills, can they affect PCOS or can they be a reason for PCOS?
uh, Birth control pills cannot be the reason of PCOS, because they are decreasing the abnormal levels of or they are stopping the normal level of the sex steroid hormone that are produced by ovaries, that is estrogen and progesterone, especially the birth control pills. They are having estrogen and progesterone. So estrogen in high doses can affect the PCOS because of hyperestrogenic condition. But nowadays the birth control pills, they are very very much advanced. So the estrogen content is very less in these birth control pills. They do not cause PCOS. In fact, rather they are helpful in treating the condition. We are using lot of these oral contraceptive pills to treat and regularize the cycles.
Okay. Ma'am, we have another question. Is there a way to regrow the hair which has fallen due to PCOS?
If you are having a good diet, your food supplements, and your exercise, obesity is controlled, your diabetes is controlled, then probably the follicles, hair follicles which are dead, they cannot grow hair. But those who are weak, they can be regrowth. जैसे कि आप एक पेड़ को अगर अच्छे से आप उसकी सेवा करते हो तो वो पेड़ बड़ा हो जाता है, और उसकी अगर सेवा नहीं करोगे तो वो मुरझा जाएगा. It is similar like that. You have to take care from outside and also from inside your body. You have to nourish your body from inside to see all these appendages of the body grow, flourish well.
Very true, ma'am. Very true. We have another question by Miss Nishtha.
Yeah,
Can you throw light on the psychological aspect of the syndrome as they are more prone to mood swings?
yeah.
Also, is UTI and PCOS anyway related?
UTI and PCOS are not related as such. It is because of obesity, and because of obesity, the local area part is not well aerated. So there is a lot of humidity and dampening in that area. So there are bacteria and fungi, they are present, and they ascend into the genitourinary tract and cause this urinary tract syndrome. Okay, so this UTI can occur in any patient because female urethra is just very small urethra, 4 centimeter. So anything, if it goes retrogradely and ascends into the bladder, it can cause UTI. So and because obesity, the problem is as I told, it is there. So it can few times it can be associated, but not always. uh, but the second part was what? Second part of your question?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
mood swings. The mood
Yeah,
swings.
mood swings.
Yeah, definitely the mood swings are there with these conditions of polycystic ovarian syndrome, because these ladies, they are having less of female hormones and more of male like hormones, that is androgen type of milieu is there inside them. So there are a lot of mood swings, and also because of this hyperandrogenism, they are having obesity, they are having maybe they are having hirsutism and unwanted hairs, they are having bald hairs, they are having sparse hairs, they are having male distribution of hairs in the body. So all these things psychologically affect the lady very much, and they are not menstruating regularly. And menstruation is very much related and integrated part of the female body. So if they are not menstruating regularly, it negatively affects their psyche. So if they are having this problem of PCOS, they have to have a positive attitude, diet, a well balanced diet, food supplements, yoga, exercises. All these things are very, very important to
Okay,
tackle
ma'am.
those things. And
So
if
we have
severe symptoms are present, then she should consult a psychologist also.
yes, ma'am. Also, one more question we have. How do fibroids grow and what are the symptoms?
Fibroids grow instantaneously, and fibroids, it has been seen that they occur in hyperestrogenic state. That means in the body, lot of estrogen is there, and because of this hyperestrogenic conditions, these small seedling fibroids are there, and then over the time they grow up, and they produce symptoms. Symptoms can be from asymptomatic to the very severe symptoms also, in the form of excessive amount of bleeding. They can be asymptomatic, and the uterine size may grow up to 20 weeks, 24 weeks, up to the navel size. It can grow like that, and she may be asymptomatic totally. But on the other side, if these fibroids, they are more towards the endometrial cavity, towards inside, then they can produce lot of pain, lot of bleeding, lot of passage of clots, and all pressure symptoms also, pressing the lower abdomen, pressing the uterus, the bladder, pressing the gut behind. So pressure symptoms can be there. So
Okay,
they
ma'am.
are like that.
Yes, ma'am. So we have more question. What advice should be given to people who are lean but having PCOS?
The lean PCOS should focus more upon uh, regularizing their cycles, as they are not obese, but they may be the case of insulin resistance. So to take care of that, they have to do exercise, yoga, and regularize their cycle. And if they are wanting fertility or they want to conceive, then they should visit the clinician, their gynecologist, timely. They should not wait for the spontaneous things to occur, because these, if you delay, then the age is another factor which causes delay in the fertility. So
Okay, ma'am.
timely intervention is required.
Yeah, we have a question by Miss Vaishnavi Suresh.
Yeah.
What percentage of PCOS is associated with infertility?
uh, in infertility, in our practice, we have seen around 30 to 40% of cases they are having this infertility. So in the general population, around 5 to 10%. In India, we have come across 10 to 20%, and double the amount, the patients they are there who develop the infertility.
Okay, ma'am. We have another question. Is there any difference between PCOD and PCOS? If no, then why are there two names for the same thing?
Yeah, initially we used to call them PCOD, polycystic ovarian disease, because the ovaries were showing these small follicles, and they were having the menstrual abnormalities like that. And nowadays, the pathophysiology which has been seen, it has been seen that it is multifactorial. So disease is one symptom, okay, one disease. But if the patient is having multiple disease symptomatology, then it is known as syndrome. So as I told, it is because of hormonal imbalance, it is because of insulin resistance, and it is because of hyperandrogenism. So many factors are working. So we call them polycystic ovarian syndrome. And
Okay.
disease is when everything is ruled out, and in young ladies where the HPO axis is maturing, it has established and it is maturing. In those cases we call, now the new nomenclature for them only is PCOD.
Okay, ma'am. Another question. I also actually have this question. Can you elaborate on the genetic aspect of PCOS? What is the difference between PCOS? I think we have addressed this PCOS and PCOD.
Yeah.
So, if you could answer, can you elaborate on genetic aspect of PCOS?
The genetic aspect is being studied, and it is under research nowadays, because the problem is increasing day and day out, these because of the faulty lifestyle. The patients are symptomatically coming too much, they are having too much of symptoms. So all the environmental factors are working, and these environmental factors along with the genetic factors, those patients whose mothers were symptomatic and having this oligomenorrhea problem or menstrual abnormalities, they tend to carry it in their families. But nowadays, because of these faulty habits, eating habits, there can be environmental factor or the oncogenes or proto-oncogenes which are occurring from outside, and they are causing the sporadic mutations in the genes or the amino acids which are present in the genes. So they could be present, and they could be because causing this PCOS problem in an increased amount. So this is under research, and lot of researchers all over the world, they are working on this aspect of PCOS. PCOS is very very complicated condition. तो एक कहते हैं ना जटिल समस्या है, तो इस पे बहुत सारे लोग superficially and उस तरह से lot of people are working, because it is multifactorial. So you need to control so many factors to conclude that this is because of that. So multifactorial analysis and all this need a lot of patience and loss of proficiency and efficiency to come to some conclusion.
Yes, ma'am.
The research are going on this line also.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, another, I have a personal question.
Yeah.
Like, what is the insulin resistance? I think you've covered it, but if you
Yeah.
could quickly go over it. Even Dr. Deepika Kalu has asked the same question.
Yeah. uh, Insulin resistance means if the body is secreting insulin, but it is not acting properly on the glucose which is present in the body. So glucose metabolism is hampered, and this glucose gets accommodated, it is tackled by the liver and other hormones, and it gets deposited in the central part of the body. So central obesity is more. So if this insulin is there, but it is कहते हैं कि हाथ में है लेकिन किसी काम का नहीं है. So insulin is like that. So it is there in the body, but it is insensitive. So lot of insulin sensitizers are there to sensitize them so that they can act on glucose and metabolize them properly.
And ma'am, also one more thing I'd like to ask: if is PCOS completely curable, and if it is curable, can it reoccur?
No, it's not completely curable. It can be under control, and you have to work throughout to keep your eating habits and your weight under control, to control it. So you have to continuously work on that, so that you keep a check on this PCOS.
We have another question by Miss Pari. Ma'am, I don't have cysts, but I have thyroid and irregular periods, and my weight is 60 kgs. I am 30 years old and I'm 5'2". Will weight loss cure my PCOS?
If she is not she herself said she is not having the cyst in the body, but
Yes.
she is having hypothyroidism.
And
It's thyroid.
irregular periods.
Yeah,
Yes.
thyroid is abnormal. So if she checks on her thyroid and she controls her weight, then her problem will be solved. It may not be because of PCOS. If somebody has diagnosed her PCOS, then she must check it from the gynecologist with which she has been diagnosed. So if she has been diagnosed, she has to take the treatment for that. But if she is not having these peripherally arranged polycystic ovaries and other parameters, they are not supporting this, she is not having any hyperandrogenism like symptoms that be just enumerated and elaborated upon. If she is not having all those, but thyroid is definitely abnormal, then she has to control her thyroid. This irregular menses may be because of thyroid problem.
Okay, ma'am, we have one last question.
Yes.
What is the exact difference? Okay, this you have already
Yeah.
covered between PCOS. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are having that doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if there are any more questions, I think we can take them personally through email. I
Yeah.
have put it in the chat box.
Okay.
And I'd like to thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful session.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank all the guests present here. And please be on lookout for more such webinars to come.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
We
audience.
end the webinar here now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.